I'm not going to admit that I was wrong because I wasn't. I'm not wrong.
You look me in the eye, and I can tell when you're lying. Did you send me that link before or after you asked me to join?
It's 11:58. I sent you that link, and then I
That's not
asked
the
if you
question
were ready at 12:03.
It's not the question I asked.
What?
Did you send the link, or did you quickly send it as soon as you realised you hadn't?
No. Look I just showed you the timestamp. It was 11:58. And then I messaged you on Instagram asking if you were ready or not at 12:03.
Being bamboozled somehow here. I don't know how, but you're
Did
doing
you say
it somehow.
bamboozled?
Bamboozled.
That's a great game. You've seen Friends.
Oh, bamboozled was a different thing in the UK.
Let's play bamboozled.
Bamboozles in the UK, right, was a brilliant thing. Effectively, you made a creature on this online creator, and then if your creature was good enough, you went on a TV show and they put your creature through like trials.
Okay.
And if your creature made it, you got £100.
What would you make this creature on?
Oh, it was like a CAD program. Like you had to like select the body segments and give it legs and like tell the legs how to walk.
Oh, so it was like animation.
Yeah.
And then what? It would like you had to like fight things, or
I think they made them fight at the end.
okay. You'd have to program that in, I guess.
Yeah. It was a bit like Robo Wars, but for kids' dads who didn't know how to make robots. Like for the programming dads, there was Robot Wars. For the engineering dads, Robot Wars. For the dads that like didn't do engineering or stuff like that, they just had fights in the car park. How that worked.
That sounds like me.
Yeah.
As a dad.
That was what Robot Wars. You are aware that's what Robot Wars was. Robot Wars is my dad can beat your dad up, but for the dads that didn't want to have a fight.
That's good. We wouldn't be able to play each other though.
No.
Because you'd be 3D printing something physically, and I'd be like.
Well, no, but you're missing you're missing the point of Robo Wars. The point of Robo Wars was basically to attach a weapon to an RC car. The most successful robot in all of Robot Wars history was effectively a angle grinder with wheels. That's what it was. It was an angle grinder with wheels that went around, and every time it hit something, that thing was then hit with an angle grinder.
It was no more.
Yeah. It was called Turbo Blade or something like that, and the thing was just an angle, like it was just a large angle grinder disc with wheels.
Turbo Blade.
Yeah, and do you know what? They lost one match in the first season because they got flipped over. So
if you get flipped on your back and can't move, you lose, right?
Yeah. So what they did was they made the wheels bigger, so that if you flipped it onto its back, it was just the other way
down, but could keep going.
Yeah, so people were like, "Oh, flip Turbo Blade over," and I'm like, "What's the point?
You're just gonna lose anyway."
Yeah.
Right. Well, maybe that can be something that we can do on the show. Because welcome to Better Luck next week.
Oh, you started. Okay.
Yes.
I was about to have some bread, but I'm not going to now.
You can still have some bread.
No, I have to hide this bread, Jared.
Why?
Wanna know why? So we buy. There's a artisan. Oh God, I'm gonna hate myself for saying this sentence. Please don't make me do this. There's an artisan baker that's opened up in Stevenage Town Centre that specialises in sourdough.
Okay.
And they do like tear and share sourdough covered in garlic salt.
Okay.
And I bought some earlier in the week, and Belle ate all of it. So now Belle bought me some more as an apology, and I'm sat here dipping it in truffle mayonnaise.
and making sure she doesn't touch it because it's yours.
Well, no. She bought it, so she's allowed some.
Oh, okay.
She also bought me. They do a sourdough kind of cookie, which is a peanut butter cookie. Oh my god! I dislike myself for going there because it's like very artisan, and like they have this thing where they run out of sourdough at 9 o'clock in the morning. So like if you want their sourdough, you have to get there at 9. To which I'm like, I'm not waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning to get feckin' sourdough, love. But it's also like, oh well, once it's gone, it's gone. Make more.
I mean, at 9 a.m. you probably could,
If
throw
you're
some
selling
more dough in the
out,
oven.
at 9 a.m., make some more. Because
But doesn't the whole sourdough, like, I mean, I don't know how to make sourdough, so I'm like, but don't you have to like, doesn't the dough have to like sour itself? Doesn't that like take a certain amount of time to do?
Yeah, but you just make more dough.
Yeah, but then it's got to like go sour or whatever, right? Like it's not just dough that you just.
Okay, if on Monday you go, oh, we've ran out at 9 o'clock and we've already made enough for Tuesday. We can't make any more. That's got to spend 12 hours going sour. Then you go, okay, well we can't make any more for Tuesday, but what we do is make more for Wednesday. And if you sell out on Wednesday, then you make more for Thursday. If you ran out on Thursday, you make more for Friday. And then you go on until you've got some left at the end of the day, and you go, that's the amount we should make. And then when you sell out at 9 o'clock, then you make some more. This has been an economics lesson with Gavin. Let's move on to a podcast.
I don't know about economics, but it's more like fix your business.
Yeah. I mean, I could solve world debt.
What?
I could solve it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to get into that. It's not going to... Anyways. Lots to talk about in F1.
Yeah. I do think first we should just say, I know we're a very small podcast, but that doesn't matter to us. We would like to extend our best wishes and, good get well soon to Romain Grosjean.
Yeah, and he seems to be doing well. He's already up and at it. Released from hospital. His hands are still all bandaged up, of course, but and he's still, he's going to be limping around probably for a few weeks, I'd say. But very interesting bit of insight on his little chat that he had, where he was just talking about kind of breaking down kind of what happened in the car and just kind of checking in on his own mortality, right? I would be surprised, especially from watching that, I would be surprised if we ever saw him drive again.
He did say, so the interview, I will send you across to watch because it's very interesting. I only posted about 20 minutes ago. But he did it once, so, he said, I'll give a quick rundown because I really think people should go and watch this interview. He effectively said he sat in the car. As soon as the car stopped moving, he goes, right, belts off, which, considering the man's just endured 58G, is incredibly impressive. He goes, belts off, and he goes, right. He said, I went straight up, couldn't go straight up. So I tried to go to the left, couldn't go to the left. Tried to go to the right, couldn't go to the right. He said he then sat down and looked around the car and thought, right, I can't get out. I'm going to have to wait for people to come and get me. And said, he looked to either side of the car and went, it's orange. Why is it orange? Circuit lights? No. Morning? No. Visor started to melt. Must be fire. I need to get out of here. Tried going up a bit, moving his head either side, couldn't get out. Sat down and said, he said, as a racing driver, most people come, this far to death or something like that. And he said, mine was here. And he called it, he said he felt incredibly calm, had a moment of incredible calm, and called it Bisou. He said, I had to give it a name, how I felt, and he called it Bisou. And then he said, after that, it went through his head. He said, I don't want this to be, this isn't how I go.
Right.
He'd had the thought that this is how I go. This is my death. And effectively then went, okay, this is it. And then went, no, actually, I've got kids. I want to see my kids again. And, started to get himself up and out. And then he said, this can't be my last race. This can't be my last race. This can't be how this ends. Got him to, effectively, found that he could go up at the angle that he was going up at, but his shoe was caught. So sat back down in the seat, pulled his foot as hard as it could, and then came up, went over the barriers, and then he said, recounted that he was grabbed. They made him sit down, and he turned around to the guy in the medical and said, talk to me normally. Talk to me normally. I'm okay. Talk to me normally. So then they turned around and said, let's get you on a stretcher. And all that. And he said, no, I don't want to go on a stretcher. He said, I don't want to go on a stretcher. I want to sit in the car, drive me back. I want people to know I'm okay. Which is just incredible foresight. And then the head of the FIA safety committee, which I think, we've been hard on him in the past, and I think we need to talk about something else that happened at this race. But the very first thing that guy did was turn around to Romain Grosjean and went, what is your wife's phone number? And called his wife and wouldn't stop calling the phone until his wife picked up, put him on loudspeaker, let her know that Romain was okay, and then let her talk to Romain. And I think that's, that him having the presence of mind that that's the first thing to do, because he's probably got 1,000 phone calls with people saying, how do we repair this barrier? How do we get this race going again? What can the teams do about this? What can't they do? And his first presence of mind is, no, Romain's wife needs to know that he's okay. I mean, I think that's just an incredible thing.
Yeah, that is some good stuff. And, I still maintain that because of all of that, I would be surprised if I saw Grosjean drive again. He is a bit of he's a bit of an older guy. He's in his mid-30s. He's got two kids.
Mm-hmm.
So with that moment of levity in his car.
I don't think he wants this. I don't think this is going to be his last race, because even he's, as a Formula One driver, he's got incredible stock. To go to, he's a race, he's been on the podium. He's a very good racing driver, as much as some people don't like to think, say he is. I've said he's not great in the past. But I think he will race in other series. I don't think we will see him in Formula One. I would like to think that maybe he'll be able to get in the car, not this weekend, but next weekend. But I have my heavy doubts, because he has got second-degree burns on his hands.
I mean, it's so important to have the maneuverability of your fingers and just be able to apply all of that pressure on the steering wheel to not be to not have fully healthy hands would make it very difficult. I don't think we're going to see him in F1 again either. When we'll get to that, of course, because Haas announced their 2 new drivers for next year. But I mean, I could see him, I don't know, maybe going to IndyCar. We talked about during this week whether Perez should do that or not. More of a should than a would, because it doesn't sound like he would, but I guess it's more of a he should, right? But we got too many other things to talk about than Perez. We'll get to Haas in a minute, but let's start with Lewis Hamilton not going to be in this weekend's race because he's got COVID.
Yeah, so he was found to have COVID. I think it was late.
It was Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon.
Because he had negative tests all through the weekend.
Yeah.
And then Sunday after the race, he had his post-race test, and it was positive. So from that, I think that I don't think Hamilton's going to race again this year. My rationale behind that is that if he was found to be positive on Sunday night,
2 weeks from then is going
Sunday
to be
night.
no. Well, 2 weeks from no, you are right. It's Sunday night, which is going to be getting very well. Effectively, that's when the next. No, I think it's actually.
Well, the race will be over by then.
The race will be over, but no, the next race after that, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Bahrain won't let him leave because he can't fly.
The country rules.
Yeah, he can't fly with the positive test, and I don't know if Abu Dhabi will let him in. Is the problem? Because I think that for the moment, I don't think we're going to see him again this year.
Not that we really need to. I mean, he has won.
He's won the championship. That's kind of the conversation that I think will be had. Is that look, we've just completely and we'll get on to George in a minute, but we've just completely reconfigured your car to fit George in it.
And it's still not going very well.
No. Do you really think that we need to, do you need this last Grand Prix? Which I think he'll probably go, do you know what, actually, no, I'm going to head off to Monaco and see my family and stuff like that, because he probably hasn't seen them in ages. I mean, that'd be me.
Well, he won't have seen them in 23 weeks.
No.
Because that was one of the rules that the F1 maintained, is that you're going to be away for 23 weeks.
Yeah.
The duration of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But it does lead us on to George Russell, who has already put it on pole in free practice 1. Now, obviously, some teams will be running different variations and stuff like that. It looks like, from the looks of the amount of laps he put in, the amount of time he put in, that Mercedes went, off you go.
Is there an alien landing in your flat?
No, Belle's cooking her dinner.
Oh.
Sounds like there's
a ship
got
coming
stuff
in.
to do this evening. So she's dancing in the kitchen. Anyway, back to
Lovely.
So Hamilton's gone, but George has already put it on pole, followed by the two Red Bulls, and then Bottas. And then it's a spattering of others. He did look quick. Got to say that. He did look comfortable in that car. From watching his onboard lap, it's very close to what it's like when Hamilton's in that car. It's very much dum, 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 dum. Right, I'm through the corners now.
Yeah.
This is a shorter lap, so we're looking at a 54-second lap, which is going to be interesting.
Now, the only thing I will say about George's pole is that it did take him 49 laps to do that time. I don't know why he had so many laps. Bottas had 44 laps and Kvyat had 40.
Yeah, so
and
effectively
Ocon also had 49. So I don't know I don't know why some of them are taking all these laps. Meanwhile, Albon had 18.
So
put it third.
Yeah, the purpose behind, I think, George doing so many laps is that his contract has always been he will be, the Williams racing driver, but he is also the Mercedes test driver.
Yeah.
So last year, whenever, I don't know, Lewis Hamilton couldn't be bothered and Valtteri couldn't be bothered, he would drive last year's car. But obviously they've made a lot of changes, but they couldn't have George as a test driver. They've also not really had much testing this year, so Lewis and Bottas have both been doing it themselves. So he hadn't driven that car all year. So I think they've probably turned around and went, well, you need to get used to this car, because it is about a second and a bit quicker a lap than the Williams. So he's probably, it's probably, I would say, infinitely more complicated, because he's got to learn all the different settings on the steering wheel and where to brake, because where he used to brake is probably in the car park, and now he's actually braking at the corner.
Well, and he's like half a foot taller than at least than Lewis Hamilton, so he's had to like squash himself into this car.
Did you hear the conversations that he had with Bono? So obviously Bono, Lewis Hamilton's setup engineer, called him at 3. Well, apparently Toto Wolff called him at 2 a.m. when he was on the toilet and said, "You're driving for us. Change your boxers." Don't know. To which he then went, "Okay." And then Bono called him and basically went, "Right, me, you, 5 o'clock in the morning, we're going to meet and we're going to go through how this car works, set up, everything." And George went, "I don't know how I'm going to fit in Lewis's car."
Yeah.
To which Bono went, "That's okay, we can make some modifications
to your body." Yeah. And George went, "Well, not quite what I was expecting, but okay."
What I was expecting, yeah. It was the picture that's funniest for me is on his Instagram when he initially gets in the car, and he gets in the car and his head's still blocking the airbox.
Yeah, and he's kind of like,
Is it? But
right, and now we have to put the steering wheel in the car. The nice thing about when we're recording right now is we do have a live look at the leaderboard for P2 at the moment, which Verstappen is leading by 1.5 tenths of a second over Esteban Ocon. George Russell is in 6th at the moment. He's about 4.5 tenths of a second behind.
I would say that they probably gave him FP1 as a kind of carte blanche. Hey, you need some time to go out and learn this car, learn what it does to its tyres, see how things go and stuff like that. And then this one, they've kind of gone, right, we're going to do some simulations of stints on certain tyres, that kind of stuff. I mean, I think they're probably going to have to talk him through what to do in FP1, because I don't think he's ever been there.
Don't think so. Now, did we mention that Pietro Fittipaldi is driving in place of Romain Grosjean?
No.
Well, he is.
He is. Don't really know what more to say about that.
He is in 18th at the moment in FP2 because Jack Aitken is the Williams driver replacing George Russell, who is in 19th, and Charles Leclerc has not driven yet.
No, Charles is having lunch. This weekend's grid is going to be interesting because what they've done is taken effectively the top 3, roughly, out of F2 and gone, you have F1 cars now. There go.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I think, Fittipaldi is Haas's reserve driver. I don't expect much of him, if I'm honest.
Did I say Fittipaldi?
I think you did. It's Fittipaldi. I don't expect much of him.
Gavin's dyslexia is rubbing off on me.
Don't think that's how that works.
My dad is dyslexic, so
yeah. Well, I'm his favourite son. Anyway,
I think some of it osmosis.
Some are just stupid.
That's how that works, right? Stupid is by osmosis.
Can we move on to something that's not dumb? Haas have declared their new two drivers. Talk about that, host.
Yes. So Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, who are not driving this weekend. That's one thing I've just realized that I don't fully understand is that you've announced, okay, your two new drivers for next year. So why wouldn't you have one of them try out Grosjean's car now?
So there's a couple of things.
I guess Fittipaldi is the Haas reserve driver.
Yeah, so he has the contract.
Priority.
Technically, George Russell isn't Mercedes' reserve driver, but their reserve driver is currently racing in Formula E on the other side of the planet.
And I was also going to say it's Toto.
Yeah.
Toto does what he wants.
Yeah. I think basically what happened was they went, oh no, we can't fly our reserve driver across the planet. George will have to do it.
What a shame. George, our prodigy, will have to fill into the car that we want him to drive in the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's difficult, that. Anyway, so Haas.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about how Haas initially had said that they didn't want to go with two rookies because it would be too much of a risk. But then they decided to throw out both Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean. And you know, we've been hard on the two of them throughout the course of this season, and I think we maybe take some of that back, at least on Grosjean for the recent event. But they are who they are on the grid as far as actual driving goes, and you know.
I think the rationale, and it'll lead us into one of the further subjects, is if, let's say, for example, and let's be, nice about this, that Romain Grosjean was being paid £500,000 a year by Haas. Kevin Magnussen, let's say he was worth the same. So that's costing them £1 million a year
which would be very cheap.
Yeah, it would be very cheap to have both of those drivers. You've now got Nikita Mazepin, who's got a lot of money behind him. His dad's a Russian billionaire. And the other driver in your other car's last name is Schumacher.
Yeah, that speaks for itself.
Yeah, just his last name, and I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid, but his last name effectively means that anyone that used to sponsor his dad, he's probably a phone call away going, oh, well, we gave you, we gave his dad, this amount of millions every year for, doing really well for us. Oh, we'll give his son a little bit. And, there's going to be understanding that he's in the Haas, and that's not really that much of a good car at the moment. But his last name's Schumacher. That isn't why he's got this seat. It isn't. I'll lead on to that in a minute.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, it's also that, he's a top 5 driver in F2 right now.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's bad.
So this is another one that leads me on. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, Nikita Mazepin's only got in because of the amount of money he's got. I think we all know my stance on paid drivers. And I think we should actually talk about Stroll in a minute.
Oh, boy.
But you can't get into Formula One unless you have a super license.
Right, which costs a lot of money.
No, you can't buy it.
No?
The only way that you can get a Formula One super license is by winning. You have to get enough points. So effectively, over the 2-year period, you have to get 50 points. You get 50 points if you win the championship, like the F2 championship.
I was going to say this is an F2, yeah.
Yeah, it's like qualifying points towards a license, or you get a certain amount of points if you win a certain amount of races and stuff like that. So unless you win races, you can't get a license to get into Formula One. So Mazepin has got one of those licenses, which means that he is evidently talented enough to be in Formula One, which makes it more understandable. At the end of the day, Haas need money. He's got money.
And I mean, Mick Schumacher is going to come with some money too. So, they had two guys who I mean, I guess Grosjean and Magnussen came with a bit of money, but like
not really. Grosjean had quite recently pointed out that he was going to try. So he's gone to sports cars, so GT3 and stuff like that, because the only way he was going to go to IndyCar was with some money, and he's not one of those drivers that comes with a load of money.
Mm-hmm.
And Romain Grosjean has always been neither of them have ever been sponsor magnets.
No.
Romain Grosjean comes with a little bit, but not much. So if you've now got two drivers that are going to plaster your car in sponsorship, go for it.
Yeah, because hopefully then you can improve the cars that they're driving.
Yeah.
And I think that actually leads us in. I guess we can talk a bit about Stroll. There's a lot to talk about in Formula One, to be honest. Stroll and Perez is what I was going to say, because nobody's picking up Perez. I said that Haas should, but Perez. I mean, Haas is a worse team than Racing Point.
No, but it's a theory of mine that being that the only he's the best driver available, there must have been a conversation that went on with Haas and Perez.
Because I think so too, and that's why why would Perez go to a team that's worse?
Yeah, I think that's his logic, is that he doesn't want to go backwards.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to go backwards.
Now we do know that he is connected to Red Bull, but I think it's pretty I mean, it's not official, but I think it's pretty defined that Red Bull's going to stick with Albon.
Well, it's not clear as day yet.
No, it's not. It's not official.
Yeah. Red Bull have effectively said that they want to keep Albon. He's the person they want to keep.
Yeah.
And that it's his seat to lose, which, considering he got a fourth and a third in the last two races, as long as the rest of the kind of performances are to that level, then it's kind of they can't really argue with him.
No, I don't think you're going to bring up Pierre Gasly, because I don't think Pierre Gasly is going to do that much better.
And Red Bull have already said they're not going to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't think that he'd go to AlphaTauri, because that's another worse team.
No, and I mean, AlphaTauri, I guess that's one of the only other things, is that what's going to happen to Kvyat, right? Danny Kvyat.
It's a little unclear at the moment, because Red Bull have said that they were going to bring up another young F2 driver. It was of Japanese descent, so had close links to Honda. I think they're holding off on that because they want Honda to sort something out. But I don't see him going into an AlphaTauri. It's a car that he's been faster than all year. It's kind of a bit like, well, what am I doing here if I'm slower?
Right, he being Perez. So the question was, where does he go? Because he's not going to have a seat in Formula One. There's been talks about him having options to come back, and I think he would be able to do that because, like Fernando Alonso, maybe there's a bit of a discrepancy in the accolades for Alonso versus Perez. However, Perez does come with a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? So if there's a team that is looking for an experienced driver who's going to be 32 when he comes back, right? Because he's 30 now, so he'll be 31 next year. So 32, turning 32 when he comes back. You want, a team that wants experience and wants some money.
Yeah.
Might be able to convince him. A team like, I don't know, Renault perhaps, depending on what happens with them. McLaren's pretty set, I think. Ferrari, maybe, if they're possibly not happy.
Ferrari, the money won't matter to Ferrari. They don't need the money.
That would be talent-based, and that would be, is Carlos Sainz better than Sergio Perez?
Yeah. That's your opinion. My opinion is that I don't really see, if he takes a sabbatical, he's going to be able to come back.
And he has said that he wants to take a sabbatical, which is why it comes up.
I think at 32, you're going to be getting at the older end of the Formula One driver realm. I mean, who knows what's going on with Kimi, but I think his best bet is like Indy, to go to IndyCar or something like that.
Well, an Alfa Romeo would be a bit of a step down as well for him, right? So if he doesn't want to take a step back in car quality, he's going to have to probably maintain a driving time frame, is what you're saying.
Yeah. 35 starts to get a bit far, to be honest, for Formula One drivers, doesn't it?
For most athletes, really.
Yeah, for most athletes, to be honest.
Should we recap last weekend then?
Yes.
I think we've covered it all.
Yeah.
I have my ticket, and it was accurate until Perez's bloody engine caught on fire with 5 laps to go. But it was Hamilton, Verstappen, and Albon.
I've got to find.
Was 1, 2, and 3, and I had Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez. So I was doing very well, except for the fact that Racing Point, I don't know. Racing Point's had a rough few weeks, to be honest.
Yeah.
Between Stroll just constantly having issues. And Perez
places, Jared.
And then Perez doing very well, but then having some sort of mechanical issue or getting hit at the last minute, like Perez, and I mean Perez came third a few weeks ago. So I don't know what's going on with Racing Point.
I got 2 points
because you had Albon in third.
I had Albon in third, and Albon came third.
Yeah, and then you had Leclerc winning for some reason.
I had Ricardo and Norris. So, yeah, didn't do particularly well there.
As much as I like fun, which is what you picked, it's not going to happen. Except for this weekend. This weekend should be very fun. Because there's like 4 drivers that are in different spots. Fittipaldi's put it up in 17th now, ahead of both the Williams. Leclerc's still having lunch. Vettel's fallen all the way down to 15. Lando Norris is over a second behind in 16. Russell's fallen down to 10. Perez has just put it on pole at 54 seconds.
I'm going to go.
Second lap. By the way, we just mentioned that. Laps are under a minute.
Yeah, I'm going to get a headache.
Yeah, because it just...
Do you know what? When I worked in motorsport, do you know what the worst thing in the world to do was? So Brands Hatch is a circuit in the UK, and it has a short loop, which they sometimes use, which I think is under like 2 kilometers long or something stupid like that.
That's tiny.
And I was running the pit board.
Uh-huh.
Right? And I had to get a pit board in and out and swap the driver every like 56 seconds or something.
So you were like
1 second. It's like, get it out, get it in, put the numbers back in. Oh, the car's back. How many laps is this going to be?
287. I don't know. Could you imagine? It's like half a NASCAR.
Yeah.
Series. Right. So Perez is on pole at the moment in P2. Verstappen in third, Ocon second, Kvyat's up in fourth, Stroll fifth, Ricciardo sixth, Albon seventh, Sainz eighth, Bottas ninth, Gasly 10, Russell 11.
I'm gonna go. I've got to think about this one.
I know, you really do, don't you?
Because I'm of the mindset that free practice 1 and 2, it depends on what the teams are doing. They could be they could be doing a fuel economy run. No, they genuinely could have. They could be doing a race simulation. Teams just choose different practices to do it in. McLaren might have done it in FP1.
Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc is still having lunch.
Charles Leclerc's just doing what Charles Leclerc does, which is he's in the back of a motorhome somewhere with enough supermodels to sink the Titanic.
And just charcuterie boards everywhere.
Yeah, that's what Charles Leclerc does. He walks into a room, underwear falls off, champagne and olives are somehow presented.
It just appears.
Yeah.
Yeah. And an assortment of meat delicacies.
Yeah. Yeah. Just imagine Charles Leclerc's life. Like, imagine if you woke up in the morning and went, I'm Charles Leclerc. You're 24, I think, and your job is to drive Formula One cars, lounge about, live in Monaco, drive Ferraris whenever you want, because I assume he just has free pick of, like, the dealership in Monaco. Just goes, I want to drive the blue one. But Charles, that's Mr. Da-da-da. I'll take the blue one.
I'll bring it back.
And just, I don't know.
Right. Well, I know what I've gone with.
I'm gonna go.
Do you want me to say mine first?
No.
No?
No.
Because you see, the problem with me not saying mine first is that there's just silence while you sit there.
Say yours.
Because I can hear your brain working, so that's why I want to keep talking over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
So I've gone with Verstappen, Ricciardo, Russell.
I don't
think Russell's going to put it on pole.
I have gone Russell, Albon, Ricciardo.
I don't know why. Why do you hate Verstappen?
I hate Verstappen.
You never pick him, and he's always in the top 3.
Just he's very, very authoritative. Like he's an aggressive driver, and he's shunted before. So
we'll see. But yes, Verstappen, Ricciardo, Russell. I don't think Russell's going to win the race.
I think he is. I think this is his opportunity. This is his one moment, his one opportunity.
Well, but he's in a car that's forcing his body that's this long to be this long. So,
yes, but
difficult.
But George Russell has been making a Williams work all year. This is his opportunity to show what he can do in that Mercedes.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he grabs it with both hands aggressively. And
that's why I think he'll come third.
Okay.
Right.
Talk about the NFL.
Do we have to? I'm not thrilled with them.
I'm aware you're not thrilled with them. Do you want to talk about that while I have
what? While you what? You need to find your picks or something?
No. You talk about that, and I'm going to dip bread in truffle mayonnaise.
Well, no, we'll get to that because that's the last game now of the thing. Let's go through them. We picked the Bills because the Chargers are crap.
1 second.
So that was 27-17. The Titans obliterated the Colts. Like it wasn't even a contest.
No.
You know,
sorry, just...
like it was. I mean, Ryan Tannehill was basically just shy of spectacular, I'd say. He didn't throw very often, but when he did, it worked.
Mm.
And then Phillip Rivers was not good. But what else is new?
What else is new?
The Vikings beat the Panthers by 1 point.
Just.
Yeah. So that's a loss for me.
Yeah.
By 1 point, despite the fact that the Panthers scored 14 in the third. The Vikings then scored 18 in the fourth. So the Panthers just all over the field.
The Jaguars lost to the Browns, who's surprised.
This was actually a closer game than you would want to admit, though. Mike Glennon
is running low on battery, so I'm going to plug it in.
Okay. I'll just say this about the Jaguars. You know, the 1-10 Jaguars. Mike Glennon had a decent game, and James Robinson had 22 carries for 128 yards. So the Jaguars either need to keep tanking, and I think that's the only option, truly, because you're 1-10.
What they're doing.
Well, yeah, you're 1-10, and yet you're coming close to winning games against bona fide playoff contenders like the Cleveland Browns, who are 8-3, and Nick Chubb was 19 carries for 144 yards.
Yeah, that's a good game.
And Jarvis Landry had 8 catches for 143 yards.
You'd think Jarvis Landry would have gone home and thought, that's the best game I've ever... that's the best wide receiver performance of the week. But we'll get on to another game where someone did have the best wide receiver performance of the week.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants...
It's not in this one, though.
No. The Giants... Yeah, we beat the Bengals.
Well, but they've lost Daniel Jones. So how much of a win is it really? Because yes, they're 4-7, and yes, they're atop of their division, but for how much longer? Because their backup quarterback is Colt McCoy, who was
dependable.
6 for 10 and 31 yards. By the way, they used 3 quarterbacks. Exactly 0 of them threw a touchdown. Because the only touchdown they got on the offense was run in by their running back, Wayne Gallman, who ran 24 times and couldn't break 100 yards.
That's what happens when you designed a team and an offense around Saquon Barkley, and then he disappears. Because that boy can run, and yeah. Got to be honest about the next one. I didn't have us beating the Cardinals. What we did?
No, neither did I. But this was wow. This was Arizona's game to lose, and they definitely lost it. I'm sorry. Kyler Murray was unremarkable and had an interception. I don't know what DeAndre Hopkins was doing, but he was an average of 11 yards per reception, which he had 5 of.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, it was even worse on the other side. Cam Newton was 9 for 18 for 84 yards and 2 interceptions. Sorry. So he threw 50% for less than 100 yards and 2 picks. And he was sat there going, well, they won that game because of me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just don't think the relationship with him and Bill Belichick is going to last.
No, I don't think so. He ran about half the amount of yards that he threw with the same amount of carries as completed passes. The total drives that Cam Newton was responsible for, successful successful plays of moving the ball downfield in this game were 18. 9 passes and 9 carries. Please don't try and tell me that you are the one responsible for winning this game. Because no, you weren't.
Hot garbage. The Jets got demolished by the Dolphins. I don't know who didn't. Cool.
Shocking.
The Falcons destroyed the Raiders.
Okay, I think we have to mention this game. Pardon me. Where? What? How? Why? Who decided that the Atlanta Falcons were going to be Super Bowl contenders in this one game?
I can't see where it came from, though.
I don't know either, because Matt Ryan was not good.
He was 22 for 39.
Which is, okay, sorry. That's a good percentage, but he didn't crack 200 yards.
No, he threw, like, if you didn't tell me the score and he threw for 2 touchdowns and 1 interception against the Raiders, I'd go, lost to the Raiders. But
yeah,
rushing combined between 2 players, you have 110 yards. And then if you go down the receiving, their best receiver had 50 yards. The next best had 48, and then it's a smattering of, guys that got 1 or 2 passes. There's just, I don't know where the points came from.
Other than fumbles and picked off, interceptions for touchdowns. I don't know. I mean, the Raiders resorted to Nathan Peterman. Nathan Peterman had snaps. He was 3 for 5 and 25 yards.
Good. The next one, I don't.
Anyways.
Yeah. Who knows what's going on there? The next one, I don't even want to validate with any form of response.
Well, but we do have to talk about it because this is the first, of 2 times that the NFL has made a mockery of itself.
Yeah, this was a pointless game.
It was utter ridicule. I mean, you've got the Saints who are without their quarterback and some of their top players because of injury. Okay, fine. They don't actually have COVID. The Broncos didn't have a real quarterback. And this Kendall Hinton guy, who was a wide receiver from their practice roster, is being touted as a local hero for going 1 for 9 and 13 yards with 2 interceptions. Because the kid hasn't played quarterback in 2 years.
I've got to be honest. I think you could put me in, and I don't like to make bold statements about myself, but you could put me into an NFL game and I reckon I'd do better.
I don't know about that. I don't think with the Broncos offensive line you would.
No, well, I'd have a plan. I'd just turn around and I'd just throw it. I wouldn't know who to.
I feel like you'd have more interceptions.
Probably.
Yeah.
But to me...
Yeah, I don't know why this game was played.
It's just farcical. It's just like... It would be effectively like turning around to... You want these games to be fair because otherwise what's the point in them being played?
Correct.
It would be like turning round to, Formula One teams and going, so this weekend you can race, but we haven't had the right tyres delivered. What we have had delivered is BF Goodrich off-road tyres. So you're going to use those. To which the F1 teams would go, fuck off.
Yeah, because they would disintegrate in about 8 seconds.
Yeah. So you effectively had the Broncos, who I don't think it's this Kay Hilton guy's fault. He was a backup he wasn't even on. He was a practice squad
receiver.
Receiver,
Yeah.
which how you don't have any other player in your team of athletes that can throw a football.
Well, that's why they picked him, because they were like, "Oh, you played quarterback for 3 years in college. You can sling it. Go." And he had 24 hours notice. Yeah. Let's move on from this travesty. Because that's what it is. The NFL has made a travesty of their own game this past weekend.
I just don't understand what you gained from playing that.
Just to give you context, Gavin, as an official, if you give someone there's a penalty called travesty of the game. And that's literally when you do something so vile, so crass, that you have created a travesty in this game.
Yeah.
The NFL is doing that to their own sport.
It's just pointless.
They've done it twice now in one weekend, and it's shocking. Right, the Rams lost to the 49ers. And wow, was this a bad game by the Rams? Because holy cow, are the 49ers not decimated? And yet Deebo Samuel, 11 catches for 133 yards, made Nick Mullins look like the next Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, and Jared Goff just continues to prove that he's just crap.
Yeah.
What more do you want? He's just terrible.
19 for 31.
Yes. The next one was Patrick Mahomes showing what Patrick Mahomes could do, but he's not the person I want to talk about. The person I want to talk about is Tyreek Hill, who went 13 for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He has over half the yards that Mahomes threw, because Mahomes threw 462 yards, and all 3 touchdowns that Mahomes threw.
But the thing is he isn't. I mean, he's incredibly talented, but basically what the Bucs seemed to do, they went, we're going to play this defense where we're going to put one man on Tyreek Hill, and basically
we're going to play man defense against a top 5 receiver in the league who's being thrown to by a top 3 quarterback in the league, and see how it goes.
Yeah. And basically what happened was he would start running down the field because for some unknown reason, the quarterback didn't want to jam in on a lot. The cornerback would basically sit 10 yards out and go, I know what this guy doesn't need, a 10-yard head start, and then try and turn and start sprinting to catch up with probably undoubtedly one of the fastest guys in the league. And you just watched these guys, just watch Tyreek Hill get about 10 yards of separation, and Patrick Mahomes just went, yeah, thank you very much.
Bye.
Just, there you go. Oh, you've run past. And then the thing that got me was, when it happened the first time, you'd go, maybe we shouldn't leave Tyreek Hill on his own with that guy. And then the next play, he lines up 10 yards away from him again. I just watched the same thing happen over and over again, and you almost saw a smile on Patrick Mahomes' face where he just looked across and went, they have put him in man coverage with that same guy again.
Now, what I will say is that Tom Brady went into the halftime down 20-7 and went, right, lads.
Yep.
Time to pull up my socks. And he scored 14 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is Tom Brady.
Did throw 2 interceptions.
That was the first quarter.
Yeah. Had a very good game. I think they're still a very good team, the Buccaneers.
Yeah. Literally, if you split this game in two, the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes were the first half, and then Tom Brady and the Bucs were the second half.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you don't let Tyreek Hill ruin your defense, like,
yeah, like he just bent them all over a table and went, "Thank you very much."
Did you see that someone uploaded his highlight reel from that game to Pornhub? They uploaded it, and I think it was something along the lines of "Guy destroys defense aggressively for 60 minutes," and it's just Tyreek Hill running past cornerbacks.
Oh God, I mean that is porn to some people.
Yeah, the next one, Aaron Rodgers did Aaron Rodgers things.
Yes, which he's been kind of lacking a little bit recently. I mean, particularly last weekend, where it was quite frankly embarrassing what happened to the Packers last weekend.
I think he has weeks where he goes, "Oh, I'm all right," and then he goes, "No, I'm not." Yeah, it depends on. I think maybe his wife nags him every time he loses a game. They loses a game and then just gets it in the ear all week, and then goes, "Right,
yeah, I'm pissed off, Aaron Rodgers.
I need some peace."
Gonna go and ruin a team like the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Which, really, mind you, this was the Mitch Trubisky Chicago Bears, who did throw 242 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yes, he had 2 interceptions, but it was not a complete game by the Packers, and that's what's the most concerning part about them, is that Aaron Rodgers can do Aaron Rodgers things, and then the defense just goes, "Oh,
but
what
the
do we
thing
do
is,
again?"
When Aaron Rodgers isn't doing, I mean, even the weeks where we go, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers hasn't done Aaron Rodgers things," he still scores. I still hold this, and I know
they still got 20 points on the board.
Yeah, if he puts 20 points on the board, or 25 points, or anything like that, if you can't hold another team to below 25 points, you're going to struggle. Because, against some teams, you can do all right. But if you play the likes of Patrick Mahomes, where you need to hold him to 25 points, otherwise he's going to have an afternoon, if this Packers defense ends up playing the Chiefs,
or the Bucs, or
the Bucs, and they go up against a quarterback who can really punish them. Because if Tyreek Hill was able to do that against the Bucs, and the Bucs have got a very good defense, they're not a bad team. If he goes up against this Packers defense, I think they're just going to persecute them, and that's going to be the downfall of the Packers, and it's not going to be Aaron Rodgers' fault. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it won't, because it would be a shootout.
Yeah,
it would be a shootout that Aaron Rodgers would probably eventually lose.
Oh, I mean, I think I'd like to see that game, because I'd be very interested to see who's the better gunslinger between those two.
Absolutely.
But I just think that Patrick Mahomes has some wide receivers that mean he can take it to the next level.
Right. The Seahawks beat the Eagles. I'm surprised the Eagles put 17 points on the board.
Mm-hmm. And then the Steelers beat the Ravens, but I think we've already gone over how pointless this was.
Okay. This one pisses me off more. First of all, I don't know what Steelers team showed up to that game, but that should have been a beatdown. And it was barely a football game, because the Steelers, I don't know what was going on, but they didn't even put 20 points on the board against a team that doesn't have most of their starting lineup. I'm sorry. What's going on? Ben Roethlisberger had 51 pass attempts, and he couldn't break 300 yards. What? First of all, Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just chewing out the Steelers right now for a display of incompetence for no reason whatsoever. You're 10-0 going into this game. What?
There was no need for it to be this close.
Just lay it down. Like, I don't know. All you needed to do was lay down some covering fire, and you were probably going to make it to the next trench. But they barely did that. Meanwhile, the Ravens, which, by the way, were supposed to play the Cowboys yesterday, that hasn't happened because this game was played on Wednesday for some reason, because this game shouldn't have been played at all because there were 20 cases of COVID in the Ravens last week. Absurd. Again, travesty of the game. They didn't have any of their starters because they all got COVID, which means people on the team are probably asymptomatic, which means, like, if the Steelers do not have a single case of COVID by this weekend, this weekend or next week, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, it comes to a point for me as what was the point?
Yeah.
I mean, I think this game needed to be played because imagine if the Steelers had lost, how embarrassing that would be. But the probability, I mean, this was really a 50-50 game because the Ravens the Ravens with Lamar Jackson are a very talented football team. But it's basically like you went in and you took away their stars. You went,
but yeah, they didn't have anybody.
And then, we meant to sit here and be surprised when one team wins? Like, no.
The Ravens started Robert Griffin III, who went 7 for 12 and 33 yards and an interception. And then tried Trace McSorley, who went 2 for 6 and had 77 yards because, oh, look, he happened to throw a bomb downfield and score a touchdown.
It's just dumb. This game could have been played at any other point. The problem is that this was a divisional game. It was important for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Because, winning that game would have kept them in the hunt. But now,
they could have been 7-4 if they'd been able to actually put a team together and win that game. But now they're 6-5. They've fallen. They're scraping in a wild card spot right now. And
I mean, look, the thing is that we've now got the NFC North is now the Steelers, who are 11-0. They have not lost a game yet. A brief look through their schedule doesn't yield much. Oh, this person's going to beat them. They play Washington, the Bills, the Bengals, the Colts, and then the Browns.
I mean, I give the Bills a small chance, but that's about it.
Yeah. So I just don't see how, the Ravens were the people that were going to beat them.
Yeah. The healthy Ravens.
Yeah, the healthy Ravens. And this just basically kind of makes it so you're like, well...
Yeah.
It's not a competition of who's got the best team. It's who's got the best team that doesn't get COVID. Right, let's go into next week.
Right, let's blast through next week. I think it'll be fairly quick. And then I've got some logos for you to have a look at. So we'll have some fun with that. I'm not doing the food one because we discovered that was too easy.
Yeah.
So I've gone back to Canadian sports teams, only in Canada. I'm not doing America because that just leaves way too much out there.
I have got the Browns beating the Titans.
That's fair. I'm going to pick the Saints as well over the Falcons because Falcons.
I'd gone with the Falcons after what they did last week because apparently Matt Ryan's feeling good at the moment. Who knows? You know how I feel about Drew Brees.
Yeah, but he's not playing. I'm gonna have to go Titans. Because they're so strong, and I think this will be a really close game. Like I think this will be like 28-27 in overtime or something. Like, this game is going to be really good. I would say, just having a look down the schedule, that yes, this is the game you want to watch this weekend. The Browns and the Titans. The rest of them are pretty one-sided, I'd say.
Yeah, so
Lions and Bears. Do we care? Do we have to pick one? I mean, the Lions have the worst defense in the league, and the Bears apparently have one of the best, even though...
We've had this conversation. You have to pick one. We can't not pick.
I'm going to go Bears.
Better luck next week. Better luck we pick the games that we want to pick.
I'm going to pick the Bears.
The Bengals, I mean...
Dolphins. Vikings, Jags. I'm going to go Vikings.
I'm going to go Jags. I don't know why.
All right. Have fun with that. Texans and Colts. I'm going to say Texans.
I'm going to go Texans too. I feel really bad for them because this could have been a really good season for them, but their head coach kind of had other ideas.
Raiders.
I'm going to go Jets.
No, you're not. Are you serious?
Yeah, write it down on the paper.
All right.
Pen. I can't erase it.
You know who plays quarterback for the Jets. It's Joe Flacco.
Wait, yeah. Don't like him.
Seahawks. Because the Giants are now without their starting quarterback. Cardinals over the Rams.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I'm going to go Patriots over the Chargers.
Yeah, I've got to see that one as well. The next one is just...
Packers.
And then the Chiefs.
Chiefs, yeah.
And then...
Steelers. Bills.
49ers.
Really?
Yeah. And then...
Who cares? Because the Ravens aren't going to have a full team by Tuesday still.
I'm going to say the Ravens just because...
Yeah, I guess.
You know?
Again, I don't know how this game can be played, but here we are.
The thing is it's going to be played.
Yeah, because the NFL...
I'd love to tell you, buddy. I'd love to tell you that it isn't. I'd love to swish my magic wand, but one, I don't have a magic wand.
What?
Otherwise, we'd be commenting on Quidditch.
Well, yeah, but you're from England, so I thought you all had magic wands. Ruin the illusion, Kevin.
You've been to England. You know the reality of the situation is that we're all just too drunk to achieve anything.
That's the whole of the UK and Ireland, though. That's not just
Irish.
England. That's everyone.
I like to kind of make it known that the English are we take drinking to a professional level. We don't.
Well, yeah, I mean between the English, the Scots, and the Irish, I mean, you could make drinking an Olympic sport between the three of you.
It's kind of like a testament. We don't.
I feel like the Welsh feel left out at the moment as well. It's been mentioned.
Well, you know, my efforts to slowly cut them off are going.
I mean, what do you do in Wales other than drink and tend to your sheep?
They sing a lot.
Yeah, but they'll be drunk while they're singing, right?
Yes, they sing a lot. They lose at rugby.
Oof.
And they talk about how beautiful Wales is, but
I mean, it is nice. And Doctor Who gets filmed there all the time.
I challenge you to, but wait, no, because the people of Wales say Wales is nice, and they've taken photos of when Wales is nice. But whenever you go to Wales, it's always a hole.
Yeah. I
Did
mean,
I tell you about? I went
you
to
could
Wales.
say that. You could say that about the whole island, though. I mean, I've taken photos of when the UK looked nice, but otherwise, it's a bit dreary.
That's right. It snowed today, but not even well enough. Did I tell you once what happened to me when I was in Wales?
No, is this a good story to share?
So I went to Wales climbing. There's a mountain called Tryfan, which is one of the most difficult mountains in Wales to climb. We went to climb it. And when we came down, the town that sits at the bottom of this mountain is kind of a bit rough, but also has some places that are quite good for food. So we went to this place called the Mountain Warehouse. And what it is you walk into a room, and it's for people that are either going climbing or have just come back from climbing. So you effectively, you can walk off the mountain to this place, and it looks out onto like a square. And we walked in, and it's got windows all down one side, and then windows down the other side, but they're boarded up. And there's 4 long benches. You can't sit next to your friends. You effectively just get in a queue, and you go up, and they've got numerous pasta dishes and high carb foods, and you get given a trough. And then a lovely Welsh maiden fills said trough with whatever food you would like. You pay £10, and they basically give you food by the kilo. So I got a kilo of lasagna, and I sat down next to. You're not allowed to sit with your friends. By the way, the rule is that you have to sit on one side of you. Has to be 2 people you've never met, and everyone chats and about mountaineering, and it's really nice. And then the next thing I know, I'm eating my kilo of lasagna. Look out the window, and a crowd has formed. And I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. Must have been a fight. So we all kind of go outside to have a look what's going on. And 2 girls were having a fight, but not a grabby, hairy fight. These 2 girls were boxing in the middle of the street.
Yeah,
and not like a fight that had broken out.
It was like a proper.
This is what happens apparently in this town. Is on a Friday night they meet and they kind of just have fights. So these women were just basically knocking 7 sets, just knocking ribbons out of each other. At which point we left.
Oh.
Because, Jared, at what time of night do you think women started fighting?
9?
5:30.
Oh, wow.
That's how rough this place was.
You'd barely finished your meal, and then you're poof.
Car.
Gone. Right. Speaking of tough women, before we get to our logos, we do have to celebrate that Stephanie Frappart is the first woman to referee a UEFA Champions game. Championship game. She's been around the UEFA Cup before, but this is the UEFA Champions. So, again, stepping up, and good for her. And there's a photo of her in the post already giving a yellow card out to some poor soccer boy who's
post that
misbehaving.
On the Instagram?
Pardon?
Did you post that on the Instagram?
No, it's on the BBC's Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Right. Let me share the screen for you, Gavin. We're back to the sports logos. So we need a sport, a location, and a name.
I don't have to write anything down for this because you're marking me, aren't you?
What? What did you say?
I don't have to write any of this down because you're marking me.
Yes. So I'm gonna
seem unsure of this.
Pardon? No, sorry. I've just realized that the first logo I have literally says the name. So I'm zooming in on it so that you can't see it. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry. It's zoomed in quite a lot. But right. So I need a sport. So like the name is like the city is scrolled along the top there, and then the name of them is on the bottom. But like, I mean,
Okay.
this is the logo. It's, it's an angry fish.
I'm going to say the Burlington Barracudas,
Okay.
and it's a hockey team.
Okay.
As I assume competitive whale harpooning has been outlawed in Canada for a while.
Competitive what?
Whale harpooning.
Okay. City, sport, and a name.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna zoom out again now.
Oh, Jesus, this is hurting my brain.
Sorry, buddy. Okay, here's number two.
The Montreal Canucks.
Okay.
And they're a hockey team.
Do you want to rethink the name?
The Canadians.
Okay. Do you need a side look at it?
No.
It looks like it. Yes, going upside down will make it easier.
The Wolves.
Okay.
They're from Winnipeg.
Okay.
And they are a competitive chainsawing team.
Really?
They're a lacrosse team?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, God. The Halifax, because of the H.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moose, but that could be a trick. Oh God. I think they're a hockey team.
Okay.
And they're called the Mooses.
Okay. Oops.
That is Windsor. It's a Canadian football team, and they're called the Lightnings.
The Lightning.
The Thunder. It's a lightning bolt and a football. The Lightnings. The
Okay.
Lightning. A variant of light something.
Okay. Now, this last one is a league. So you don't need a city per se, but I still need a sport and a name, which will in turn give you 3 points.
I think that's the Canadian Curling Championship. You like curling out there, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Rock pushing pansies.
Hey, they're very heavy, you know, and they have to spin all the way down. Look, it's difficult, okay? You try it.
I spent 5 years at Wix. You don't want to see what I can do with a broom. It'd be amazing.
Okay, so you can sweep well.
Yeah. That's the bit. Is that... Now, answer me a question.
Okay.
Curling is a competitive sport in Canada, yes? So there must be sport.
It's an international competitive sport. You, as Great Britain, have a curling team, yes?
Yes. Where you must have to buy competitive brooms, right?
Yeah, they're special brooms. They're not just like a broom you get in the shop.
So
right?
Someone
They're like
must...
flat, and they have this little pad of like velvet or something on the bottom. I don't think it's actually velvet, but it's a material. It's not just, bristles. It used to be, way back in the day, they used to have like actual brooms with like straw bristles, and they don't do that anymore because it looks ridiculous.
What would they do, Jared? I think.
Because it looks ridiculous. Right. You're correct about the first one.
Hey! I've got to be honest, though, that is I thought that the bit he was holding in his hands was like a trident.
Right, because it was cut off.
Yeah.
But it was a hockey stick.
Yeah.
So, side note, celebrating as of Tuesday, the first episode of the feature series on the team that I've been working on with my co-producer that got released on Tuesday evening. So if you haven't watched it yet, go do so. It's a fun time.
Okay.
It's on their YouTube channel. That is, in fact, the Montreal Canadiens of the NHL. When you said Canucks, I was like, that's why I got you to figure.
What's the H?
Their French name is Les Habitants.
Fuck off.
It's my mom's favorite team, so be careful.
French.
This is the Toronto Wolfpack. They are the rugby team that travels to the UK to play in rugby league, I think. So you get half a point for Wolves because you said Wolves and they're the Wolfpack, so it's close.
It's nice of you.
Yeah, they're not from Winnipeg.
Okay.
This is I'll give you half a point for saying Mooses because these are the Halifax Mooseheads, who are a hockey team. And the reason they're called the Mooseheads is because if you Google the beer Moosehead, that is, I believe, the moose, the old moose that used to be on Moosehead beer.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the moose on Moosehead beer, and it is from St. John's, New Brunswick, which is weird because this team is from Halifax.
I've got to be honest,
but
it looks like they've made a logo and then went, oh, we need to sell some variant of animal toy. Moose.
Well, I think what happened was...
Oh, that looks like a one from the beer.
I think what happened was the beer was made, and then the owner of the brewing company was like, I want a hockey team. I'm going to put my logo on it. Yes.
It's like making a team called the Budweiser Bad Decisions.
You'd own that team. This is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the CFL. So you got the sport right.
What's the lightning thing come from?
I don't know. It's like the ball is flying. I don't know. This is actually their old logo. Their current logo is now literally just a W, and I was like, that's lame. I'm not gonna use that because you'd look at that and go, it's a W.
It's a valid
bit
point.
like Washington. It's a W.
Yeah, it's a valid point there. I'll give you that one.
Anyway, the Blue Bombers.
Mhm.
And this is the Canadian Premier Soccer League. Canadian Premier League.
Can you see from the lines outside that I might have got curling?
Yes, I
Can you see
understand
where
where
my
you were
mind's
going
at?
with that logic.
It was just wrong.
Yeah. But I get it. I understand, right? Remember the Hamilton Forge we had last time?
Yeah, that's true.
They're part of the Canadian Premier League, right? Anyway, well, that was fun. You got 6 points for the first two as I throw my empty glass off the desk. And then you got 4 remaining points because you got 2 halves for half the names.
Mm-hmm.
Wolves and mooses.
Yeah. It's a valiant effort considering that all of these teams are teams that I don't regularly see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of myself.
I mean, you should see that one though because of me all the time.
Yeah, but I got to be honest. I don't understand what's going on with its lip.
Here?
Yeah.
I don't know. The logo's been around since the early 2000s. It's I think it's 20 years old, this logo now, so
okay.
It's not bad. It could do with an upgrade. We'll see.
Jesus Christ, what are you doing? I'm gonna warn me when I get scared.
Apparently. Right. Anything else you'd like to add?
I need to poop.
What?
I need to poop.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that that's made it in. Right. We wish everybody, all the losers, better luck next week, particularly the NFL for maybe making less of a travesty of their own sport. And hopefully George Russell making it on the podium. And Gavin relieving himself.
I got poop.